this way and not the way you planned. It's about what you know and what you understand. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Learn to follow that inner voice inside. That's the one that's telling you not to run and hide. See what your life could be when you visualize. It's about what you choose that you'll realize. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Now it's time for you to plan out your life. Seeing what you do by your own design. It's all up to you to make it what you can. It's of your own free will. What don't you understand? Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Your life is a choice. Choice, life's a choice. It's a choice. Make a choice.
Welcome everyone to New Year's special presentation, the Year of the Pig. Initiation, integration, and graduation. I have a very big presentation. I'm going to be here for a while. I hope you stick around. If you can't, you can always watch in the replay or do what it is you're going to do. Maybe go write those things you want to release, as Brian suggested. Brian said he's doing for him. Burn it. That we have room inside. You've cleared out the cobwebs, so now you can add your furniture or whatever it is you want inside your beautiful room. Come midnight tonight, this is a foil balloon I bought for myself for my birthday, November 30th. And it's been keeping its helium. It's been staying high and light. And on it I have Om Shrim, which is a mantra for wealth, and Lakshmi at the bottom. You can't see it because it was written with a Sharpie on both sides. Om Shrim, if you are in a financial way, you say Om, O-M, Shrim, S-H-R-E-E-M, Om Shrim, at least 108 times a day. More if you want to. It'll take you 7 minutes-ish. Invoke Lakshmi. Get on the Google and look up Lakshmi. L-A-K-S-H-M-I. Just look it up. It does not buck your Christian belief, your Buddhist belief. It's all the same. God is one. It's the one behind the all. Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim. Put some love in it like you're singing. Om Shrim, Om Shrim, Om Shrim. However it makes you feel joyful. Taking the shower, using the toilet, cooking your food. Just do it all day long. Whenever you think you got nothing, when you have nothing to do. Avenues of money, not only money, abundance, but money will begin to show up for you in ways you never could have sat down and thought possible. You can't fabricate this stuff. 12 o'clock midnight-ish, right after, I'm going to release that balloon, sort of like what Brian did. I'm opening up. Bring me my love. Bring me me. No, bring me you, which is the greatest version of me. Bring to me presently my future self, which is my present self. But we are humans and we do move down a linear timeline. I did not give an overview of tonight's presentation, but I am now. I got sidetracked because my bro ham sandwich, Brian Harden, called me, and I'm glad he did. We're going to do some reading from the Divine Principle. I'm going to release my balloon. We're going to talk about prophecy, spiritual prophecy. You are included in this presentation. I would invite, please share with me your thoughts as we have fun tonight. But reserve yourself until you have something that you really want to say. Because if that feed keeps moving, it'll seem like I didn't choose you. And of course, you know that's not my intent. But still in all, give me something powerful, something that you are really, really wanting to say. Because I want to read it. Because you are important to me and it is important. Your voice is important. It's very important. Carlos Mendezabo, my brother, my childhood friend. We're going to be talking about prophecy from the Divine Principle. I'm also probably, no doubt, going to go inside a little later and see what Yanava, our soul, spirit, has to offer in the form of prophecy. Just because a prophecy doesn't happen, it does not mean that the prophet, not necessarily meaning me, any prophet, is not worthy or that they're inaccurate. Because some people, prophets throughout our time, may be prophets. They may be very prophetic. Just because what they envisioned didn't happen does not mean that they missed the mark. It could very well mean because of the prophecy they have given, it's changed its course because it was made aware of. Isn't that the purpose of prophecy? I mean, if a prophet gives something that's wrong or incorrect, do you want to prove that they're a real prophet? Do you want the negative prophecy to come true? No, you don't. So maybe the fact that they divulged, shared, and prophetically imparted something changed the entire experience. That's what real prophecy is. Because the prophet is not concerned whatsoever what people think about their prophetic vision. Before we get into the meat and taters of it all, y'all, I want you to recite after me. Let's do the I go first, you repeat. Someone's around you feel awkward, tell them, come over here and sit next to me and feel awkward with me. This is something that this God-realized man, Swamiji Vismayogi, my Lord, my Master today on the earth, doesn't mean that Jesus or Buddha or Krishna is not my Lord. He's alive. I'm in close proximity. It's today. Notice the light phenomena around his body. This is not photoshopped. Please don't sully or dirty that which is sacred. When this man walks, like Satya Sai Baba, he glides on water. To the bottom right corner is a human service certificate I was given by God. I'm grateful. Sounds like I'm going to the ego, so what? I've worked my ass in, not off, for many years. And every time I see this, it puts tears in my eyes and it expands my heart. It does not expand my head. It's a validation like Brian, I mentioned earlier, which he's not always comfortable with, and I understand it. This is about the awakened humanity, the awakened human. It's important that everyone begins to chant out loud. It doesn't have to be volume loud. Create a vibration even if it's soft. I'll give you the words. Look at the bottom of this screen. Om Sri, or you can say Shri, Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. What does this mean? Om is the primordial sound in the universe. It's that which holds everything together, even those things we see as separate. Sri, like Sir, is a title. Sai is mother. God, mother. Ram is God. Guru, teacher. Deva, Datta. Datta is a lord of the universe. Let me show you a lord of the universe. This is the Lord of the universe. It's always the eyes. You can see infinity in those eyes. And if you can't, relax your gaze and look again. What you are looking at is Buddha. What you're looking at is Jesus. What you're looking at is Krishna. What you are looking at is everything that means anything of importance to anyone, personified in a human guise. That's what that is. When he does a public darshan, which means blessing of a holy man, he reads this beautiful thing. This was created by a very young boy, a little boy. So this is what I want you to echo with me. Here we go. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. One we are. We are of one. One family, only one family. Let me get my glasses. Let me give it the respect it is due and start over. Echo. One we are. We are all one. One family, only one family. We are all only one family. I, you, he, she, this and that and all. Whatever the religion may be. Whatever the nation may be. Whatever the language may be, we are all human beings. We are all human family. Let us unite in the name of humanity. Let us unite for peace and prosperity. Let us unite for ourselves and for all. Let us unite for our Mother Earth and the universe. Unity makes us strong and peaceful. Unity brings us bliss and prosperity. If we unite, we can make miracles. If we unite, we can throw away poverty. If we unite, we can make the earth a heaven. If we unite, we can bring the Lord to the earth. Unity is our strength. Humanity is our life. I want to share with you now what I am grateful for in my life. First and foremost, of course, my beautiful boy, Eden Sky. He's not a boy anymore. He's a very fine young man. Very well behaved young man. Because I didn't whip his ass. I made a deal with him when he was a child, old enough to comprehend. You follow your dad's lead without question, I will give you everything you've ever asked for. and he's a stand-up young man. I'm grateful to Steve Lancaster. He's been a solid support and beautiful friend to me for many years. I'm grateful to you. My work that is coming into fruition in 2019, I have no doubt, is because of you. Namaskar. Thank you. Happy New Year. Happy New You. I'm grateful to Swamji, the God realized man I just showed you. I'm grateful to Sixth Books Distribution, Gavin Lee Davies. And we're going to get a number 5, which means worldwide distribution. Everything is taken care of. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Lavender Soul. The music I play, I'm going to be playing throughout the night. And all the members of it. And the fact that I'm given an opportunity to make a new album with them come February. Also, Brian Harden has invited me to California to record with him. I'm such a blessed man. I am grateful to be on a larger stage doing God's will. Living my heart, which is as I'm doing now. Playing music for a living, as I have been for many years. 2019 is going to exponentiate from 2018. Even though it's one night's sleep from one to the other, the world's consciousness does not process that way. It sees new beginning all over the world. So in new beginning we are. In new beginning are you standing up and falling in. Standing up and falling in to help things begin. Wow, write it down, Keith. Standing up, fall in to have new things begin. Stand up, fall in, have new things begin. 2020 is going to double. 2021 is going to double that. So forth and so on. Of course, I have videos prepared. Like Brian said, hello, Teresa Soto. Glendis Morales. Dana says, truly beautiful broadcast. Thank you, Dana. Let's see who's still here in the other Facebook room. I like connecting. I named everyone. Heather Sartain's in the house. Bright scientist she is. As Brian mentioned when he called, everyone wants the same thing for New Year's. As a resolution or whatever it is, everyone wants the same thing. Stick around, come midnight, I have some bells and whistles. This is what everyone wants, summed up in a few minutes. Enjoy it. What he just said made my point about the book about my son, Eden Sky Wonders Why, about a curious kid who asked big questions to his dad, his single parent dad. Dad, why do little children get sick and die? Dad, where do kids come from? So forth and so on. Eden Sky wonders why. Wonders why implying a question mark. The answers are within. If you look at this diagram, this image from my son's children's book, Eden Sky wonders why, there's a question mark on his chest. He's a curious, inquisitive little kid. But when he looks within and reflects, there's the answer. There's an exclamation point. The same exclamation point that you, synchronistically, out of nowhere, collectively, without even having a dialogue with each other, are posting in this forum. Chew on that. How is it you are all posting exclamation points at the same time? Obviously, I might be saying things here and there that say, oh, I need to post an exclamation point. But that was not the case last night, nor was it just a moment ago. When the gentleman in the video was narrating, something he said struck me to my core. Most of you out there who know me know that I don't give a rat's ass what people think. Not out of disrespect. I don't care what people think because it's not my identity. And I know this about myself. Until I heard this presentation from this gentleman in this video. And if I fell inside and found something lingering, something holding on for dear life, and it was buried within all the understanding and ideas, Keith Blanchard's life, spiritual teacher guy he is, right? I stubbed my toe on a piece of furniture I didn't know was there. An old imprint, an old engram that says, you do care what people think. And so before the commercial break, I talked about my new year coming. But I want to back up and follow my bro Brian's lead. I'm going to tell you what I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of, as I just declared and brought up and announced, very deep within myself, I understood some part of me cares what people think. It's gone. In fact, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's gone. I'm done. I made a decision. I made a choice. Your life's a choice. When you rise above and look at your life, and you see the life you choose, can you be surprised that it all turned out this way and not the way you planned? It's about what you know and what you understand. Choice, your life is a choice. And I am choosing different. I'm done with that bullshit nonsense. Done. I'm going to be me. I'm going to let go, as I always do. But I'm going to now up the fire. I'm stepping on the accelerator. I'm gassing it. And I will demonstrate that to you tonight. As many people who know me have seen my feeds. Well, Keith's a nutty guy. Yeah, I am. I love it. I'm going to be myself. So thank you for your trust, your love, and your presents, but also your Christmas presents. Speaking of Christmas presents, nobody bought me shit. Lavender Soul Song. We're going to be here a long time. We're going to ring in the new year. I have lots of tricks, bells, and whistles. Time for some Lavender Soul. I got to turn off my oven. I have a heater. But if I turn it on, it's gonna, with this powerful microphone that's sitting out of your view, the entire room would shake. So I have an oven open and I'm getting roasted. So before I go for a break, Lavender Soul song, I want to introduce you to my new friend. I used to have a squeaky chair. I bought a new chair today. Here she sits. Here I sit on her lap. I love you, and I'm going to be right back. I have a big show. It's going to be long, but it will not lack in content. Trust me. I love you. Happy New Year. Happy New You. Happy New Me. Happy New We. We're going to talk about some prophetic things later. Some of them will be phenomenal. Others, maybe not so phenomenal. But it will be phenomenal in and of itself because of the lesson that's going to impart. If you were holding on to the live wire for dear life, that's why I often say, don't put on your seatbelt. Take your seatbelt off. Don't hold on for dear life. Let go for your life's sake. It's time for a change. Lavender Soul. New album. We're going to start recording it in February. I'm excited. Sounds like Mother India. I love it. Speak to me, my heart.
Surely as the rain may fall, I wonder why. Worried there'll come a time when my world is dry, oh so dry. In the summertime I won't have no water. It's a little bit harder to take. So how as I contemplate a billion stars, leaving my hands to fate. That's all I've got, all I've got. In the summertime, I won't have no water. It's a little bit harder to
Ravi Shankar, look out. I am playing on that track, which is called a guitar, sitar. There are some sympathetic strings that just naturally vibrate. Nobody's touching them. And the strings that resonate whatever key I'm in vibrate. That's what creates this Hindi feel. I love it. We're going to be doing a new album. We're going to start a new album, writing it in February. I'm so excited about that. Let's get down to some meat and taters, y'all. Tonight's presentation is called The Year of the Pig, 2019. What does that mean? The Year of the Pig. Let's find out. Let's learn about it together. Chinese Zodiac Calendar, the Year of the Pig. And of course, I'm going to, I just know this off the top of my head. As I read this, I'm going to follow to the dialogue, and I'm going to get away from the dialogue for a moment and go into this rant, to use a word, and then come back to point. The Year of the Pig. Initiation, integration, and graduation. I am going to read a segment from the new book I am going to release soon, which is part divine principle, part for the love of God, broken apart and put in sequence, that I'm seeking worldwide distribution. No one has ever heard this before. Initiation, integration, and graduation. It's about my life, for me, but it's really about you if we follow the law of one, God being the all behind the small, God being the all behind the many. Let's talk about the Year of the Pig. Happy New Year's, my friends. The pig is the 12th of all zodiac animals. According to one myth, the Jade Emperor said the order would be decided by the order in which they arrived to his party. Pig was late because he overslept. According to one myth, the Jade Emperor said the order would be decided by the order in which they arrived to his party. The pig was late because he overslept. Another story says that a wolf destroyed his house. He had to rebuild. Brian Harding and I talked about love can be violent because it destroys everything around it that is not of its like kind. He had to rebuild his home before he could set off. When he arrived, he was the last one. The last one shall be first, and the first shall be last, and this too shall come to pass. When he arrived, he was the last one and could only take 12th place. This is hitting me on wow. The pig is also associated, listen to this. Wow. The pig is also associated with the earthly branch, and the hours of 9 till 11 in the night. The pig is also associated with the earthly branch, that which is happening as spiritual beings, the awakened human. And between the hours of 9 and 11, 9-11, in the night implying dark night of the soul, 9-11 was a kick in all of our spiritual groin. Solar plexus, kick in our heart, punch to the throat. In terms of yin and yang, the pig is yin. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That is the feminine aspect, the divine feminine. Sai, Baba. Sai is mother, Baba is God, like Abba and is father, like in the Bible, Abba. Yin. In Chinese culture, pigs are the symbols of wealth. if you choose to jump on the board of Ascensionville now. The window is open for those who are choosing, and the window is closing for those who constantly feel ongoingly depressed and like their life is that which is about always losing. Like the song says, it's a choice. Your life is a choice. When you rise above and look at your life and you see the life that you live, can you be surprised that it all turned out this way and not the way you planned? It's about what you know and what you understand. Choice. Your life is a choice. Pigs, their chubby faces and big ears are signs of fortune as well. Pigs have a beautiful personality and are blessed with good fortune in life. Wow! Paired with celestial stems, I have been recently saying what is happening on Earth is not about Earth. It's cosmic. 2019 is a pig year. Other pig years are 1935, 1947, 59, 71, 83, 95, 2007, 2019. Paired with celestial stems, what is happening on Earth is cosmic and not about the Earth. The Earth is included because God is the one behind the many. It's all inclusive. Love is all inclusive. Paired with celestial stems, there is a 60-year cylindrical cycle. 60. 6 plus 0 is 6. The ability to overcome difficulty. Wow! This is kicking my ass. Although, in Chinese word, hi, how you doing? Although hi is associated with earth, the years also cycle through the 5 elements of nature. Swamiji always says, when any part of the earth is out of balance, it's humanity as a collective that is out of balance with one of the 5 elements of experience. I've often wondered if we're out of balance with the fire aspect of the global consciousness. Is that why the fires are happening in California? Makes sense to me. If we're out of balance with the water aspect of the collective human experience, is that why we have tsunamis and floods? If we're out of balance with the air aspect of who we are, we breathe in air, we breathe in God, we breathe in life, is that what brings about tornadoes and hurricanes? So forth and so on. Makes sense to me. As above, so below, on forever it will go. Personalities and characteristics. Tonight's presentation is the year of the pig. Initiation, integration, and graduation. Personalities and characteristics. Pigs might not stand out in the crowd, but they are very realistic. Others may be all talk and no action. Pigs are the opposite. Brian Harden says, I'm going to create a ritual, an intention, to set aglow everything I'm releasing myself from, because that is not me at all. I'm releasing it. So now we have room inside, in God, side. I'm inside. Seek ye the kingdom within. Now our hands are open and spirit can fill it with the delicious, juicy, as Brian would say, yum versus the yuck love, not that we deserve, but that which we are. Though not wastefulness spenders, they will let themselves enjoy life. This cat, you cats. They love entertainment and will occasionally treat themselves. I bought me a new chair today. I love you. as I begin to massage her and make her blissful, knowing she's going to make me blissful, because as I move about and express my passionate self, I don't hear, right? They love entertainment. They are a bit materialistic. I love stuff. But this is motivation for them to work hard. Being able to hold solid objects in their hands. Look at your life. Hold that thing in your hand as if it's a solid object and look at it. Again, like Brian said, look at your list. Wow, that's what you think you are, and I thought you were as well, and now I'm going to dismiss you and put it aside. They're able to hold solid objects in their hands. That gives them security. And now we understand that is not security whatsoever. That's why we're releasing it. They are energetic and always enthusiastic. If you are not energetic and always enthusiastic, you may have your not so good days. You are 80% energetic and enthusiastic. You know why? Because you're in this room. And if you're in this room, and what I just read does not describe you, welcome, my dear, beautiful cosmic brother or sister, to the new you, not the new year, but the new you that inducts you, nominates you, initiates you, integrates you, and graduates you into all that you are. They are energetic and always enthusiastic, even for boring jobs. Let me tell you how energetic and enthusiastic at least this cat is. I don't have any boring jobs, not even in boring jobs, because like the video said, when my heart does not sing, I am not into it and I am not doing it. Because I love you, and if you're my friend and you've hurt your foot and you want me to cut your grass, I'll go do it. I may not like it, it's because I love you, and in so doing, I love it. But when it comes to everyday doing things I don't want a part of, I will pay someone money to come do it, because my heart, the brain is stupid. The brain says, go do it and save some money. My heart says, do you have a greater payoff, Keith, to pay someone off and doing this thing that you absolutely loathe? And I say, yes, it is so much easier that way. They believe that only those people have the right to speak, and that's what they want. Let's see what time it is. We've got an hour and a half. Though we're shifting into the new us, the new you, the new me, the new we, the one behind the all, the one behind the small, the insignificant. That word is mentioned on purpose. Are you telling me, Keith, as a spiritual teacher, isn't that a demeanor that I am significant? Goddamn right, you are insignificant. Because if what I just announced affected you, you are living in that place to where that needs to be humbled, because in that regard, you are insignificant. If you understand my heart from the get-go, and you know where we're going with this, you realize that is a truth which says, I am not affected about someone calling me out as insignificant, because that does not resonate as a tone with me. That's not like playing a G major 7 where you have a higher A resonated, creating this beautiful lush thing. That's like playing a G chord and adding a lower bass tone of an A, and it creates this horrible dissonance. If you don't resonate with what I said, you're living in your own self-harmony. You're not dissonant by what was brought forth. But you're not insignificant when it comes to you vibrating to yourself in harmony. In that regard, you are most significant and most powerful. Wow! That is how beautiful and radiant you are when you live in your truth. Hello, Mick Rogers. Let me explain Mick Rogers to everyone in this room. Hello, Pri. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Renee. Sophie. Mick Rogers is from down under. This man is illumined. I don't know his spiritual background, but I know when I watch his Facebook live feeds and he's driving his vehicle and he puts on a Pink Floyd song or whatever song, and while he's driving, he is so singing. He don't have to be singing. He can be scratching his butt, his nose. It doesn't matter. He is involved with his task. He is involved in his expression. And Mick, I am calling you out because I want to acknowledge you. And in that regard, you inspire me. Do you feel me, bro? I mean that. This is not for fluff. This is not for glitz and ratings. I'm acknowledging you, dude. You have this joyful way about you, and it's infectious. And you know it. Thank you. I want to read something to you, share something with you that was vesseled, channeled to me by Jesus Christ, Yeshua ben Joseph, Sananda, last year, about this time. In prayer and meditation, Jesus tells me, as you continue to become conscious of yourself, the shackles of fear, control, and anguish will fall from your ankles. The wounds, calluses, and scars, all self-created with the hopes to protect, can now fade into healing. The payoff, soul expansion, and divine conscious recall. In this marriage with divine parent, you have creative freedom, power, and light. And the expression of these forces will propel God in you. Cultivate your divine soil. Remove all weeds and prepare a healthy garden for planting sacred seeds of love and light. What's flooding my being right now is so delicious. This is the highest thing you can do for yourself and begins the process of your own eternal liberation. I saw on Facebook a few days ago, as soon as I saw it, I copied and pasted and put it into this program. It's from someone by the name of Philip Nichols. Happy New Year, y'all. The great change has begun. It's time we look towards our great Son, S-U-N, but also S-U-N. That is the Christ, not necessarily Jesus, Jesus included, the Son, which is the Christ. Jesus became the Christ, hence Jesus the Christ. The great change has begun. The great change has begun. Has begun? There's a letter missing. It's time we look towards our great Son, a beautiful star that seems so far, but always warms our divinely made hearts. Now is the time that we tell us apart. Now is the time that we give us all a new start. The sun has now begun its new run. Your DNA is about to come undone. It may not be fun, but it must be done before I can come, my beautiful son. You will now be awakened, my child. You will no longer be forsaken after your inners have been divinely shaken. It's time I again embrace the human race Amen. Lavender Soul, take a short pause. We have lots of time. Welcome everyone. Jesse Berthelot. Let's see what Lavender Soul I am going to play now. (2019). We all want something beautiful. And that something beautiful may take different guises. But the truth of it all is the world is addicted. Take it in. Take a breath. The world is addicted. And that's a beautiful thing. Take it in without judgment. The world has an addiction. And it's a beautiful thing. Because we are now at the point that we understand what we are not, which is addicted. As Deepak Chopra has said many times, addiction is a beautiful thing. Paraphrase, of course. Because it shows us that we are longing for something. Something to fill us inside. Beyond your job, beyond your money, beyond your child, even. Keith, did you just include my child in the lot? Yes, I did. It's even beyond your child. Because everyone around you in this entire earth is your child. Because deep within you is Creator, Father, Mother, Parent. And as a child of God, we all hope to grow up to a level of spiritual maturity, making you now the parent as you leave your offspring and raise them up. You don't beat your children down. Don't hit your children. You don't beat them down expecting them to behave. They may behave because they're scared to death of you. That's what it means to raise your children. Raise them up. Raise your children all around you. Your friends, your family, everything. And let the divine parent that not only lives in you, that at the essence of who you are, can raise the entire world up. And as divine children, we will play in the garden of soul forever. Everyone is looking for something. What am I looking for?
that I need more than what I have. I'm just not sure. What am I searching for? The mothership to a distant shore. Could this journey make me more of who I am? I'm just not sure.
Where do you go to find the answers? There is a place you haven't tried. Your search for love is taking chances. Have you ever thought to look inside?
What am I hoping for? A better world, is there a cure? What can I do to help the score? I'm at a loss, I'm just not sure. What am I praying for? To see the light around the world and the people's love restored. Peace on earth, of this I'm sure.
Where do you go to find your answers? There is a place you haven't tried. Your search for love is taking chances. Have you ever thought to look inside? Where do you go to find your answers? There is a place you haven't tried. Your search for love is taking chances. Have you ever thought to look inside? You hold the key to find your answers. I am the door you have not tried. Never again taking chances. Open your heart and walk inside. Walk inside.
Open your heart and walk inside. Could it be that easy? It is that easy. Hello, Lee. And hello, Sophie. I have a surprise depending on how it goes. I'm such a bad son of a bitch. Keith, did you just call yourself that? I did, because I know how I mean it. I have a surprise later, possibly. Let's see how it goes. Maybe in an hour, 30 minutes, you can remind me, hey, Keith, by the way, what is that surprise? I'll just tell you. I was going to play, depending on how it goes, because it's going to last an hour, the first audio book chapter of the Divine Principle. From Keith's point of view, God's point of view, there's reverb behind God's voice, so it sounds like the Moses burning bush kind of thing. If that sounds, and you will not hurt my feelings. because we have a lot of time. I'm going to be here for the duration. I'm going to be here definitely 3.5 hours, maybe 4. Why? Because there's nothing I would rather do, and I want to acknowledge all of you. If I have not acknowledged you yet because the feed went so fast, or if you're just arriving, let me see who's here. I think I named everyone. It says Mick Rogers is back. Hello, Mick. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I'll play the audio, which has some really cool sound effects. It's background sound effects, kind of like an audio movie. If it sounds like something you're interested in, hit the exclamation point. If not, don't do it because you want to be nice. That's not part of your New Year's resolution. Don't do anything. It does not hurt my feelings. But we are going to be here for a while, and I am so plugged into this experience. I could have went out tonight and heard many bands. I had my choice of a plethora of bands because I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I didn't want to do that. And so I want to say thank you that you're not doing that, not because it's a bad thing. It's because you're choosing to spend your time with me and allowing me to spend my time with you. And I swear to you, in that simple gesture, and fireworks are going off in this moment, stick around. We're all going to become fireworks, and I got some bells and whistles. In that simple gesture, we connect. I love Keith, and in turn, I love you. As to why I do this, because what else would I be doing? To you, it might be dancing. To you, it might be cooking. To you, it might be drawing. Do that thing, man. Nobody can do that thing better than you. No one. No one, no one, no freaking one can do that better than you. It says I have 15 people in here, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4 exclamation points. Not a big deal. Last call on that. I want to read you something by this beautiful man. Before I show you his picture, notice how you feel now. Just notice without judgment. This is how I feel. I feel this, I feel a little this, a little bit of that. It's okay. The image I am about to show you is of an avatar. He was a yogi. Satya Sai Baba behind me is an avatar. He's not a yogi. A yogi is someone who, through the course of their life, aspires and reaches the golden ring. They become God consciousness. Hence, Jesus became the Christ. So Jesus became a title, a sir, a Sri. Because Christ consciousness existed before what we know as the birth of Jesus. Jesus, in his early life, declared he was a messenger of God. And those 18 missing years that you're not supposed to know about, he went to Persia, he went to Himalaya, the Himalayan mountains, he went to India, he went to all these places and learned from the masters who lived there. And they knew he was coming. And you could look it up in their ancient text. They say, he is coming. He is the anointed one. The one that was anointed with the Christ. Many divine beings are anointed with the Christ. But he was the one that was destined, so to speak, to be the greatest, most popular world teacher ever known. The person I'm about to show you is Paramahansa Yogananda. Paramahansa Yogananda is a yogi as Christ, as Buddha, many others. You, me, we're all yogis. Yogi is a person who aspires to illumination. Hence the importance of doing yoga, which this man I'm about to show you is responsible for bringing yoga from the east to the west. Ananda in anyone's title always means bliss, always without exception. Jesus Sananda, Yeshua ben Joseph, Sananda, the personification of bliss. Paramahansa Yogananda, yoga, the one that brought yoga to the world, bliss. Yoga is not about relaxing and stretching your muscles. Yes, it does that. But you and I and everyone is a yogi. We aspire. Yoga is putting the body in positions that create energy flow. The cosmic current. Getting into the cosmic current, which is no longer about, one moment, I have so many swatches to choose from. Moving up towards the plane of ever-expanding bliss. Notice the vertical line. Current. I didn't fabricate this. I got this off of the internet. When I used scale, I added the little guys in the titles. But notice the guy on the horizontal plane. You have a guy in a vertical plane moving up towards heaven, and a guy in the horizontal plane traveling down the earth timeline. The whole point of Jesus' crucifixion, the metaphor of it, there's a plane coming down vertical, and there's a plane going across as he was crucified. Earth, hence the prophecy of heaven and earth. And notice where the two planes intersect on the cross, in his heart. So Jesus made himself vulnerable. Are you moving up the plane towards ever-expanding bliss and living in the cosmic current, conscious current? Or are you so miserable moving down the earthly linear timeline, not even looking forward towards your future, constantly pouting on the plane of non-change? Paramahansa Yogananda. I'm making you wait on purpose. Because I love it. You should be drooling at the mouth and needing a napkin, wringing your hands. He has a movie out on Netflix called Awake. I suggest you watch it. The day before he left his body, be aware of how you feel. Don't judge it. Just take an inventory. How does it feel to be me? The day before he left his body, he told all of those around him in San Diego, California, tomorrow, I'm disappearing. I'm gone. I'm done. It's time for me to completely meld back with cosmic consciousness, even though he was already that. But to leave his body behind, so you now, my students, can realize it was never about me in the first place. I am here as an ambassador to the truth of who you are. After he passed away, let me say that again. After he dropped his body the next morning, he was never embalmed. Never embalmed. Look it up, do the research. His body exuded the scent of roses and flowers for like 29 days. Be aware of what it feels like to be you in this moment. I always tell you, look at the eyes. This is Paramahansa Yogananda. The image, second, top left, the first big picture that he's looking directly at you with the orange garb, with the pendant that's holding his gown up by his left shoulder, I swear to you, looks exactly like my mother. Notice that image I am talking about looks nothing-ish like the image to your far right. These avatars have the ability to morph, and they don't always look as themselves. They change. Looking further to the right, but at the bottom right, second from the right, the first picture on the bottom right corner, you see him sitting on his legs with sort of an overcoat kind of thing. But next to that, it's a black and white image. He's got long hair. Look at his eyes. Slide 2 pictures to your left. He's looking towards the left in prayer and meditation. Notice the light and the energy coming off this avatar. How do you feel now? You feel different. You feel actually in love. In love. Not only in love with this image and this avatar and the beauty that he possesses and expresses, but because of it, you feel in, and now you feel the love. Now look at this. To the extreme left is that picture I told you a minute ago. Look at his eyes. You see the universe in his eyes. And the picture in the middle where he's wearing this garland, look at his face. The picture or the image to the extreme right, look at his divinely illumined eyes. It's called Shaktipat, the transference of energy from God, be it in person or through an image or scripture, and receiving it. He says, I'm going to take a short pause after I read this, and then we're going to parallel what I read you now to what I'm going to read you from the Divine Principle. And they're exact. I wrote what I'm going to read you from the Divine Principle in 1996. Paramahansa Yogananda says, enter the portals of the new year, the portals of the new year with hope. Remember, you are a child of God. It lies with you as to what you are going to be. Be proud that you are a child of God. What have you to fear? No matter what comes, believe it is the Lord who is sending that to you. And you must succeed in conquering those daily challenges. Therein lies your victory. Do his will. Nothing can hurt you then. He loves you everlastingly. Think that. Believe that. Know that. And suddenly, one day, you will find you are immortally alive in God.
She turned to me and told me life was not too easy unless you can let go. I lay surprised at the simpleness of her soul. Wasting away in a sea of uncertainty. She had stayed with me for days. I needed love in so many different ways. And as I watched, she floated through the room. And as I cried, she was there to dry them too. Hold me and don't let go. Hold me reveal to me the beauty of your soul. I turned away, her light was so blinding, the energy of her love. She said goodbye and turned into a dove. As I watched, she floated through the room. And as I cried, she was there to dry them too. Hold me and don't let go. Hold me, never leave. Hold me and don't let go. Hold me, never leave. Never leave. She turned to me, told me life was not too easy unless you can let go. Reveal to me the beauty of your soul.
So I had an overwhelming response of exclamation points. We have an hour, under an hour, to 2019. So I am going to play the audio track, the first chapter of my bestseller, The Divine Principle. Myself and God having a dialogue. God's voice you will know by the inflection, but you also know it by the reverb, which creates this big atmospheric cosmic kind of feel. I will have to call it off a little early so we can do the countdown. I have an actual atomic clock counting down. Enjoy my life's work. It's my heart. It's everything that I am. The Divine Principle audio book chapter. Walk into the one behind the many. God. I love you.
Hello, my name is Keith Blanchard. In 1996, I was awakened out of my sleep by a voice. Good morning, Keith. It's time for you to wake up. The voice did not necessarily mean for me to wake up out of my night's sleep. What the voice was really saying was, Keith, it's time to get your life back on track and to start living fully, wholly, happily. And as I sat up in bed because of the voice taking me back by surprise, I was thrown back on the bed, my eyes closed, and the voice began to speak again. Keep in mind, this voice did not speak in just an audible fashion. The voice was coming to me in a very different way. It was coming to me in the form of sight. The voice was coming to me in the form of smell. It was coming to me in the form of feeling. It was everything imaginable. It permeated every fiber of my being. I was aware of the molecules in the wall, where they came from, what they're doing there, and where they were going next. The voice begins to instruct me. Go sit on the sofa and press record on the tape player. Sit there and go into a light meditation. Just be present with yourself, and everything will flow effortlessly and easily. So I go sit on the sofa, fall into a light meditation, and as the voice said, sure enough, out came the information that was beyond my own conscious frame of reference. It was not me, as I know me to be, speaking. And I would like to share with you now all that I began to receive on that magical, special day in June of 1996.
Open your eyes, see inside. Nothing's like you knew before. See inside, see the light and more.
Scripture speaks of God as the living Word, the essence of life itself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. How hard can it be to see how people create grief, fear, and division within themselves by denying this most profound truth? The first part of the divine principle is about recognizing the divine in everything, everywhere, all the time. This might be simple for you to grasp in as far as a concept, but what is most important, we need to raise our consciousness, so to speak, down from our head up to our heart, if that makes any sense to you. It's all about looking for God everywhere, all the time. If God is omnipresent, present in every place, all the time, when you begin to have such an awareness shift that you really start to get that, and you start to integrate that into your heart, that is when God becomes known, because of your intention for wanting it, for wanting to see it, for wanting to experience it. You have attention, and energy always follows attention. And so you are burning this new reality into your experience by your focus, by your desire, by your want, by your choice, by your perception, by your thoughts, by your words, by your feelings, by your deeds. It just becomes everything that you are. And so your life begins to take on a new form, a new shape, a new dance, a new dialogue, a new tone, a new texture, a new experience, a new way of being, all by your focus, all by beginning to live that God is omnipresent. It's even present within yourself. It's present in you as the one doing the looking for it. It's present in the one showing itself to you. And it begins to curve back within itself from that point. And then your life really becomes this explosion of miracles day after day after day. And once you begin to see these miracles happen, your belief and your conviction shoots through the roof. And then the miracles and the size of the miracles begin to grow and happen exponentially. And they begin to shoot through the roof. And this begins to curve back within itself. And believe me when I tell you, God becomes present within this body that you've always known as you. And the you that you've always thought you were to be begins to die. And you give birth to the Christ within yourself. There are 6 billion plus people on this planet, and everyone falls into one of 3 categories. There are those who do not believe in God at all. There are those who believe in God, but care nothing whatsoever about doing the work of having a God experience. And then there are those who are passionate about God. Everything in their life is driven towards having a God experience. They will build whatever ladder they can so that they can raise themselves up and open up the box of normal so they can go to the place where magic and miracles happen. Those people who no longer serve them in their life will leave. Those people who will come into their life as a support system will show up. Everyone gets on the same page. They begin to move forward exponentially. Life begins to grow. Miracles begin to happen. And life becomes this unfoldment of divine grace. I support you to take in these spiritual morsels that I will be offering you throughout this audio program. Take them in and digest them, process them, apply them in your life, and your life also will become one of divine unfoldment. We have this incredible tendency to separate ourselves from other people and God. And when we do that, we immediately open up the door for grief and fear to come into our lives. But the fact is, God is present with everyone, personally, directly, all the time, mirroring us ourselves. Now, what we do with these reflections create our next moment and our next moment, and so on. But when we begin to see God cosmosis taking place between ourselves, the parts that we know as us, and the parts that we think are external from us, the outside world, these two worlds become bridged, and we become part of that very breath, part of that cosmosis, if you will. And our lives become in alignment with the natural order in the universe, the in and out breath of God, the ebb and flow of life. Thought is the primal force that gives birth to life in all its forms. Just because you are not aware of your thoughts after they leave your head, it does not mean that your thoughts die. The moment you entertain any thought, the universe begins to work toward its manifestation. Everything is affected because all is one, the same body, the same being. Now, for you to understand more fully that everything is of one energy, let's start with the soul and work our way outward. Know that in every human being, there are more bodies than just the physical one, and there is much more taking place than meets the eye. The spirit self or body. The spirit is the aspect that descends into a body to partake of the human experience. It creates and governs all that is you. The spirit works in conjunction with your own awareness to bring about what is beneficial for you in your evolution so that you may one day embody the divine principle. The mental self or body. This aspect provides you with the ability to reason. Now, what I mean by reason is having the capability to consciously recognize what is right for you in any situation. It is the part of you that creates by thought and choice. The emotional self or body. This aspect is denser than the spiritual and mental bodies and is responsible for physical expression. It influences all the actions and reactions triggered by your pleasure-pain memories. Its enormous power brings what you are choosing into the certainty of being. The physical self or body. This is what most people think they are, the body. But really, your physical body is just a vehicle for your other bodies. It lets you move freely in the world while you work to align your personality with your soul. It is your individuality allowing you to come together with others to share life experiences. All these aspects make up the human entity. Even though they are different, they do have one thing in common. They are all made up of energy. And it is through such synergy that the physical, emotional, and mental bodies connect to the all-pervading spirit. On the earth plane, almost everyone perceives him or herself as an individualized unit, separate from all others. Such spiritual deficiency promotes spiritual dyslexia, a view of reality as outer to inner rather than inner to outer. This perception is in error because at a subatomic level, there is no separation whatsoever. Everything is just energy fluxing at God's speed, briefly bumping around, then taking off to somewhere else. Believe it or not, the human body is 99.9999% empty space. The other 0.00001% matter is just empty space as well. Matter consists of random blips of energy and informational discharges that solidify into a three-dimensional hologram, thus creating the illusion of solidity. The more that you can see and experience this as truth, the more your tendency to judge anything will diminish because you will begin to understand that everything is you. When you cast judgment, not only do you create and bring about division from others, you deepen the conscious breach between yourself and that one cosmic body. You see, when you judge, love in your life begins to decay and fear begins to expand. Now, even though I describe separation as a truth, in and of itself, in truth, it's not real. Nothing can ever leave God's sight. That is the real truth. God lives in such wholeness that he even holds together the things that you may see as separate. Try this exercise. Look at your hand. Do you see it as a hand with separate fingers? Because of those empty spaces you see between them, you think that one finger has no connection to the others. This is but a perception of separation caused by your lack of focus on the entire hand, which, after all, is where your fingers extend from in the first place. Your hand represents the place where all things connect and originate, God. This simple lesson should lift your awareness beyond any deception. I hope you understand it. Now, let's look at the connection that you have with the earth and all life upon it. Again, I ask you to reflect upon your body and see it as one living organism housing billions of cells. You have skin cells, liver cells, brain cells, blood cells, and so on, all of them encapsulated in one wrapping of flesh. This holds true for the earth as well, where there are billions of individual cells called people who differ from one another in personality, appearance, sex, and race. Humans are embraced by a much larger organism, Earth. Humans are to Earth as cells are to humans. From micro to macro, the universal design is the same. Let me show you. Atomic to cellular, body to world, solar to galactic, stellar to universal. All systems spin around one central source. Atoms and cells have elements spinning around one central source called the nucleus. And you and Earth spin around one central source called the sun. The solar system revolves around the Milky Way galaxy with that huge cluster of stars at its center. Galaxies rotate around the cosmos, and the universe revolves around God, the great central sun. I know you have heard the expression, he thinks the world revolves around him. Well, this is actually the truth of it. Everything revolves around God, for it is God who spins all into life. With this new awareness of your relationship to the earth, other human beings, and God, you now have the ability to understand all that is taking place in the era that you're living in. I share with you this truth of your connectedness to bring you stability and to provide you with a deeper comprehension of the way things will play out in these transitional times. You mean things will get worse before they get better? What I'm saying is, the more you are informed with truth, your knowledge of your unity with God and the earth will only aid you when the wheels of spirit really begin to roll. You may also be saying, well, Keith, that sounds both promising and ominous. What dynamic is taking place now? The Earth's energy is beginning to shift dramatically, and it is lifting at an exponential rate. The pace of life is accelerating like never before. And in this age of computer technology, when phenomena quickly become obsolete, most people find it tough just to keep up. But it is very important for you to update yourself and absorb as much information as possible. After all, who do you think is behind the idea of this time being called the information age? It's God. It's the time for information. It's the time for knowledge, the time for enlightenment. And when at last humanity does finally get to taking in what Scripture has been telling us for eons of time, world peace will be ours. So what do we call this time that we're living in? The end, the beginning, the new age, the golden age, a revelation, Armageddon, the rapture. What do we call this? It really doesn't matter what you call it. But what does matter is that we begin to believe with all of our heart that God is blanketing the earth with love's vision so that we can begin to see what was created, how it's working, and what needs to be recycled for further expansion. We must also understand that the closer, in quotes, closer, that God gets to us, the more the law of cause and effect will be in play. Said a different way, as God's light pierces the illusion of time and space, everything about us will be unmasked to reveal our shadow selves or our own illusions. Said another way, cause and effect will not be separate, and our thoughts will begin to manifest immediately. And as the world keeps moving down the timeline, reality will begin to exponentiate. Thought to manifestation, that window, the interval will be smaller. It's because the power of spirit is begin to wind its way through every soul on the planet, which makes this moment the perfect time for you to create your life's desires. This is the period where your life can swing either way. You can have everything you've ever wanted without all the stress and strain and work, or just by not caring and procrastinating and being lazy with your life, things can become very crazy for you. And I do support you in your life being all that you truly want it to be. God is getting closer and beginning to mirror to us, as I said before, exactly who we are as a thinking, feeling, doing being. It is so simple that in our difficulty, we have overshot the truth, that the whole system of creation works in harmony, constantly learning and updating, ever expanding. And it's this time that Spirit is ready to reveal to us all the progress that we have made in this human earth experience. The problem that we are having basically is that we are so wrapped up in the drama of life just being too much that we often forget to look within ourselves for relief. And what we don't realize is that Spirit is trying to unleash a higher reality within us so that we can have our relief and still have our fun. This is the whole point of heaven on earth, so you can live your heaven on this physical plane. I mean, we've played around in the lighter realities basically for eternity. And we want to come down here and experience some dense matter on this great stage of earth and choose what we want as a race, as a people. But what we are trying to get to is to have spiritual consciousness at a bodily level. And people have come here before to prove that. Buddha, Christ, Krishna, Sai Baba, Babaji, many avatars have come to show that it is doable. It is a very doable thing that we can embody divine consciousness here on this earth plane. Also, like the analogy before, all things in the universe are individual cells of God. As we embody God, God embodies us. This is the soul, S-O-L-E. This is the soul, S-O-U-L, reason that we are here. That is to activate and anchor the divine principle on this earth's physical plane. One thing I always talk about when I do presentations, and I feel this is very, very important. Earlier in this audio program, I had mentioned that this is the perfect time to create your life, and your life will either swing one way or the other. Well, this has always been true. But the point I'm trying to make with this is there is an enormous potential for unpleasant things to manifest in your life that need not necessarily come into being. As love energy continues to lift, all things will quicken into manifestation. So if you wish to avert any adversity, you must clear yourself of any hate, any guilt, and any fear that you are holding on to. If these obstacles are not addressed, trust me when I tell you that trouble will continue to show up for you on a regular basis. And it can get to a point to where something that you have launched as a creation in the past will present itself, and it may be so large that you will not be able to balance it. And this would be a very, very bad day for you. Understand that when the bad moon rises on people, that they often and quick to say that God is testing them. This is completely nonsensical because it makes God out to be a tempting devil, which he's definitely not. In fact, it's ludicrous for people to think that God would tempt or tease them or play any part in the bad choices and the consequences that follow. And when it comes down to owning of a situation that they may find themselves in, they want no part of it. So they play the devil made me do it card, which is a futile attempt to transfer their own responsibility onto a figment that does not exist at all. These divine diabolical tests are given soul to generate experiences, to provide some self to self reflection. God has no hand in such trivial matters. I mean, this is of your own creation. And the fact that these lessons come back around again and again only points out to people that they have not yet resolved specific negative energies. But if you choose, the tools that I'm offering in this audio program will help you transcend your own stuff and help you to connect with your inner light, your soul. Indeed, this reunion must take place before you can ever know God. God is the soul, and you must become consciously aware of your own self at that level. But whatever you decide to do really doesn't matter to the higher consciousness because, in the end, like the devil, which does not exist, all creation will consciously return to spirit. So it's basically you are able to do what you want as long as you want, because between now and eternity, you will eventually go back home. Whether you choose that out of your own will, or if you create a life and you humble yourself, and you will make the choice that way. Either way, you will return to divine consciousness. It's important to know what are the components of love. Living your life with style, living your life with fun, living your life with integrity. These are vital components of love. When I was writing the Divine Principle, I asked a question to Spirit. I said, what constitutes love, and can anything exceed the parameters of love? And the answer that came forth was, it's very simple. First, if you do not use your free will to impinge upon someone else's, you are exercising my love. Second, my love knows no parameters. It transcends all boundaries of time, space, and judgment. It adheres to no rules pertaining to this or that. I do not judge something to be anything other than myself. Everything is derived from the source. So what you can say is that God is infinite potential. It is everything, everywhere, all the time. In fact, there is no form that is not God, and there is no name that God does not bear. God is really not his, her, its name, though the word does invoke an image of the highest authority. What God really is, it's the ultimate awareness. It's perpetual, infinite potential. So surely that you can understand that everything born of infinite potential has within it its own spark of infinite potential. Everything has infinite potential to become infinite potential. But to become invincible like God, we must go deep within ourselves and begin to reach for that infinite potential. And when you begin to look inward to reach for that magnificent infinity, you will begin to pierce through any confusion that you may have. You will begin to be introduced to your infinite potential in everything you are capable of. Now, as clearly as there are rewards for going inside of yourself, there are definite consequences for going outside, reaching out and grabbing the external world. When we do that, we become vulnerable to all of its influences and the rules that apply on the physical plane. It's there that we encounter the many distractions and temptations that result in the conscious disconnection. So looking to the temporal world for what we think we need implies a belief that we are lacking something. I ask you, why must you reach outward for fulfillment when you can never reach your infinite potential and power that way? So by now, I think you're starting to grasp that God is life itself and cannot be separate from creation. Because if this was possible, everything would cease to exist. But the reason we sometimes find life so challenging is because we give credence to the idea that the world outside of us is something separate, and which that has caused so many of us to feel so alone, so afraid. But here's the kicker. All of us have the potential to tap into that part of ourself that connects us to God. So what I'm saying is that we embody so many of God's principles. As scripture says, you are created in the image and likeness of God. This is Genesis 5:1. What happens if you remove your life force, yourself, from your checking account? Well, obviously, it's no longer a checking account. It closes. What happens to a relationship when you break it off? Well, it's obvious. It's no longer a relationship. What happens if you separate yourself from anything? Well, it would no longer be a part of your reality. Are you doing your best to intentionally move in a happy, peaceful, abundant, stable direction? Like me, I've procrastinated for many, many years. Sometimes I still catch myself procrastinating. Well, that's what growth is all about, to monitor ourselves and see where we are pausing and hesitating so that we can become more fluent with our life and move more in a happy, peaceful, loving, healing, balanced direction. If you do procrastinate, why do you think you're procrastinating? And what are you doing to get out of that habit of just stopping yourself from living your life, moving forward, and enjoying what you're doing and being in the present moment as often as you can? If God is complete love, is there anything that was created that is not an extension of God? If God is love and you are, at your essence, God, why is fear a part of your experience and not part of the divine? Well, fear is just that. It's a fear. Time and again, we all have made mistakes by living without divine principles. And that has perpetuated our fear and left us with all those feelings of lack. Now remember, whenever you buy into one of your fears, it's because you have a false sense of emptiness. Let me break this down for you. You can say that fear is false emptiness actualizing reality. F-E-A-R. False emptiness actualizing reality. It's a space void of love. It's a space void of God. It's actually a space void of you. The you that you are at your essence, your authentic, genuine self. Fear is just a self-created block that constricts you, and it keeps you from becoming open. It keeps you from making yourself available for the divine to come in and seed itself into your being and bring you the fulfillment that you've been looking for all of your life. So you see, even though you have God qualities, fear is the one thing that you do not share with God because it has no connection to anything that is love. Fear and love are on opposite sides of the spectrum. Fear and love cannot occupy the same space. So the physics here are not that complex to understand. Fear is yours and yours alone. Later on, when I share the divine principle with you and you begin to put them to use, you will begin to see your fears dwindle, I promise you. Living these divine principles will keep you focused on God as your only goal and your only reality. And applying them at every opportunity will help you to become a part of the all-pervading reality of love, the living truth. Fear is something that we use as a way of protecting ourselves from something. What you may have not yet realized is that your fear does not protect you. What it does is it complicates the various scenarios that you are efforting to simplify. You may think that being afraid keeps you out of harm's way in a crisis, but what it does, it actually throws you directly into its path, where you must repeat the lesson, no matter how long it takes. According to universal law, all actions spawned from a fearful place must come back around for review and resolution. If you do not clear your present self of past problems, you will, believe me, you will be reborn again and again until you finally resolve them. The thing I must tell you about reincarnation is that it both does and does not exist. When Scripture speaks of the beginning and the end, it's to accommodate our current frame of reference. Its concepts, the Scripture's concepts, have to be conveyed in this way because at this point, we're only mindful of a linear timeline and cannot easily digest and conceive of eternity. Even though I speak about reincarnation implying that you have many lives, past, present, and future, there really is only one soul, God, you. But our consciousness must flip-flop around and through the time-space continuum until we remember that. Until we remember that, we have lived many, many lifetimes only to find ourselves here now. And although we have lived in many different forms, none of them is really what we are. For what we are is the spirit that has lived, lives now, and will live forever. In most of our incarnations, we have chosen the world of the external and the material over that of the spiritual, thus guaranteeing the repetition of our births and deaths. But if you want to live eternally, where there is no more birth and death, just life everlasting, you have to replace your fear with love. Now, once you get to that level, your consciousness will no longer be interrupted. The cycle will no longer perpetuate. But as for now, we are only the potential of what we can become. Think about the word external. Notice its similarity to the word eternal. Observe that there is just one difference. The X in the word external crosses out and interrupts the flow of the word eternal. Well, this is exactly what happens to our consciousness when we choose to live in external mode. We cross out all of our chances for eternity. And so the current of your life will go until the time you are able to live in unbroken flow. And if you are honestly seeking union with divinity, you must hold steadfastly to your intentions and be ever vigilant. When you choose to live this kind of life mode, this unbroken flow, this life mode, then your next death cycle will truly be a divine birth. You may ask, is that what it means to be reborn? Well, not quite. Birth's intention is to not be born again, and death's intention is to never again die. The intentions are really both the same, to give you every possible chance to consciously unify with all that is in existence. Now, whether you choose to go along with this program is entirely up to you.
How does it feel to be the creator? And everything you think happens sooner or later. It's up to you. You have free will. That's the way it always was and is still. What's meant to be? Think carefully, 'cause that will come true right before you.
It is vital that you begin to inform yourself on all matters, especially spiritual teachings from around the world. When you do, you will find all the doctrines you study are but jigsaw puzzle pieces waiting to be assembled. When the puzzle finally pieces together, do not be surprised when you see God's face shining through as the image. You must not accept blindly that everything you have been taught or will hear is true. Figure things out for yourself by weighing all the possibilities and all the probabilities of what is the likely truth. You may ask a very simple question. Is there anything that God does not know? Well, God doesn't know of fear. God is ignorant of fear because there is no reality in such energy. And so it makes sense that God would not dwell there. But fear, let's talk about fear again. Fear is like a cancer. It will eat away at you. We must begin to expose ourselves to love's radiation, so to speak, because if we don't, fear will continue to take over our minds, our emotional bodies, our physical bodies. And when that becomes too much to handle, a person is usually forced to create their own death to escape their unbearable life. I hope that it dawns on you at some point in your life that wherever you go, you are still you. Nothing changes if you don't change yourself from within, with or without a body. So I say to you, if you are sincerely seeking a better life, take responsibility and take action by pulling your perception out from under your fear. Only then will you be able to live in peace and share your love with all things in creation. Now let's go back to the basics of self-love. It begins with finding that part of you that is original, your innermost being, and consciously reuniting with it. Discovering such a sense of your own self will introduce into your life the same power to manifest that Jesus and other ascended masters throughout time have demonstrated in theirs. And it will bring you into balance so that the same divine energies with which they created miracles will be available for your use. Once you cross the spiritual threshold, you will be able to further honor the contract you made with Spirit before you were born, because you will then know through experience that the life force within you is God. You will have no choice but to live your life as a love offering. After all, this is your purpose, to anchor the divine principle in your day-to-day reality. Why does it seem that alignment is so doggone difficult? It's because of that noisy battle of right and wrong. We often are pulled this way and that way through these two poles. What is the right choice? And listening to this voice, buying into this dynamic, this dance, is what keeps you rigidly locked into a victim position. Now, there are many people out there who are able not to tune out, but to tune through their own mental static. They've learned how to twist the dial. They've learned how to balance the dynamic of energy within, and they are able to hear the voice of their intuition, their guidance, their guides, their higher self a lot more clearly. If a person lives their whole life with a right or wrong point of view and uses their past memories to handle present circumstances, well, it's just that the stillness and clarity necessary to make sound choices will never, ever be available. Now, I'm not saying that that position is either right or wrong. What I am saying is that it can only result in one of those two possible outcomes, one of either right or one of wrong. It's the ego that keeps people strapped into the front car of their own emotional roller coaster on a ride that never ends, because just over every incline is another right or wrong scenario that launches them through those disorienting swoops and loops over and over and over again. And as long as people refuse to get off of their judgment ride, they can never hope to plant their feet on the solid ground of peace. Concepts of right and wrong are taught by and learned from parents, society, and those who claim to be an authority on the subject of God's Word. But what if the true meaning of life is neither way? How on earth can someone come to understand another alternative? Well, it's obvious to me that it would have to be through a teacher who is the embodiment of such information, such compassion, such love, one who is the example. And so it's really not about the duality of right and wrong. In a beautiful world, unconditional love would be the influencer. It would be that which creates the path for everyone to travel. And it's the most effective way that I know of to create the peace that we all seek. And those who have not heeded these types of teachers' examples, these are the people that are living in that right and wrong world, which is why they're having so much trouble agreeing about what is supposedly right or wrong. One way to get what I'm saying is by observing life partners who claim to love unconditionally, but yet remain stuck in their conditional condition, arguing all the time. Another prime example is the strife that exists among many of the world's nations, each standing firm on our idea is right and your idea is wrong. This attitude inevitably leads to arguments, wars, and continued separation. Frustration standoffs between those who would rather defend their own posture than concede and compromise. Here's a very big question. But what about the people who say that their right or wrong opinion is based on God's law? Well, what about them? You are going to come across people, especially even some religious leaders, who support that opinion by saying, God has determined what is right and wrong, and God is something to fear. It never ceases to amaze me when I hear fear in God in the same breath. The scripture that says, judge not lest ye be judged, does not mean that God judges your right and wrongs and then punishes you for your sins. It means that when you judge yourself for the poor decisions that you have made in the past, and you judge others for the faults you really see in your own self. God is not like us in this regard. God has no past to cast a judgment upon, for it takes all of God's time just to be the love necessary to sustain everything in creation. God's stance of unconditional love should very clearly define who and what it is. What defines the world is its present dilemma, figuring out how to catch the ultimate wave of universal law. Up until now, most of us have wiped out in all of our attempts because we have not yet learned the laws that will let us, so to speak, hang 10 and master the ride all the way to spirit. But now that you have this desire to change, God will present the opportunity to climb atop his surfboard, to make a fun analogy, and then we can finally coast in and land on a peaceful shore. Here's a law, the law of gravity. How's that for a law? Until you are a master, if you go against this law, serious trouble is certain to come your way. Have you jumped off any buildings lately? The law of karma. You reap what you sow. Cause and effect. What comes around goes around. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's this particular push and pull of energy. This law ensures a divine order and keeps it that way. And your difficulty has been that until recently, maybe you did not know that you were the one responsible for creating your reality. The law of all possibilities. This is one of my favorites. The universe is a place where miracles are normal occurrences. Most people do not understand, believe, or can even imagine that miracles are normal occurrences. Miracles are everywhere. It's just a matter of focus. It's a matter of taking in, a matter of allowing, a matter of accepting, a matter of appreciating. Most people think that miracles are that which happens to the fortunate few. Everything has the right to be, so everything is potential waiting to manifest itself. And what will make those things possible for you is the clarity that you will find by pursuing God. But if you choose to keep on bearing the burden of doubt, the hopelessness that accompanies it will assure that nothing promising will ever come your way. The law of giving. To give is to receive, the way of the Christ. Our illusion of lack is what has caused us to be selfish and to take, thus ensuring our ongoing impoverishment. The law of purpose or dharma. Find what your role is in the grand scheme and perform it by allowing your spirit's expression to live and work in your life. Going against this law will put you on a sure path to misery. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people express themselves, live their life in this mode, and they are miserable because they are not living their passion. It's a very, very disheartening thing when I see my brothers and sisters who have this gift, this talent, but they also have belief that they cannot do this and be successful in their life. The law of detachment. To find fulfillment in the indwelling God, all idol worship must be abandoned. Being attached to the external world, it doesn't work, because when its temporal things are no longer a part of our life, our happiness most assuredly leaves with them. Very simply, these are spiritual laws. If you work with them, I promise you, they will work for you And if you ignore them, the simple will become difficult. Later on, I will offer more guidelines for you to follow as you endeavor to live in the Spirit. What about rules, Keith? Are there any? Well, not really. Just keep reflecting on what was mentioned about the law of karma, and that will keep you in order and eventually free you. So what has been binding us all this time? It's the mind, it's the mind, it's the mind. It's the prison, and the ego is the warden. And we stay locked up inside because we still listen to that keeper of fear, and we disregard those types of spiritual laws that I just mentioned just a bit ago. But from this day forth, you can always pardon yourself from this life sentence by listening to the inner voice, the voice of unconditional love inside, and by also following, for example, those laws I just posed, and by accepting the fact that God is here now and offering us the key to unlock our spirit. All of us have the ability. All we have to do is accept it and to know that we truly deserve a life that is blissful, a life that is good, a life that is abundant. You must believe that the Christ is you, and you must begin to live that belief so that you can marshal the power to move you through the illusions of separation, disease, and ultimately death that will continue to present themselves. It's your perception, only there by choice, that prevents you from doing that. Another thing that keeps us from knowing the self is the large dose of doubt that we have carried from other lifetimes. When will we begin to realize that doubt is the most destructive force that we can inflict upon ourselves? What do you think that keeps you from just knowing? Confusion? Well, yeah. But why are you confused? It's like there's that battle going on within me, and I feel I know what's real, but my analytical mind tries very hard to convince me otherwise. It's because we have allowed all that stuff that we have taken in since birth to rule our decision making. Yes, it's that internal struggle. That's what I meant earlier when I spoke to you about right and wrong. Confusion has shaped our every doubt. Doubt has created our confusion and the lack of clarity. Fear has taken away our power to create the life we truly want. These are the only opponents. There are no others. The only way that we can win this game that I am talking about here is to just stop playing it. But how, you may ask? Stop thinking that you yourself are incapable of creating something beautiful. Because when you doubt, you either move forward in time or back, away from the power of the here and now. Doubt always creates gravity, drag, and dread, and as soon as you entertain it, it stifles anything creative you are trying to will forth. Only when you begin to trust that everything will fall into place will you find your real power. Just give yourself the gift of accepting, if only for a few minutes at a time at first, that you are in a state of knowing, always, a state in which you can easily recognize whether or not there is doubt, whether or not there is trust, whether there is fear or love that is in charge of your life at any given moment. Then begin to peg the power that doubt holds over you and use this to your advantage. If you notice doubt, just redirect your knowing to cancel it. Realize that nothing can possibly manifest through it. Let that knowing part of you that so wants to blossom transform doubt into trust. Then watch what happens. The knower within you, with the know-how to get what you want, will silently emerge. If you take your trust to the ultimate level by wanting nothing and trusting your higher self, God, with your entire life, Spirit will begin to move within you and give you something far beyond what you can dream up on your own. Well, you've heard the saying, it takes one to know one. In such a way, the self will see its own beautiful, miraculous self, for God is everywhere. That's the miracle. Now, as you endeavor to see and be this miracle that I'm talking about, you will come across many keys that fit many doors, but only one will release you from the emptiness you may sometimes feel. Which one is it? It's the one that opens the door leading you to the void, where miracles can happen. It's about being vulnerable. It's about making yourself available. You must become empty inside. Again, the word I like to use is vulnerable. It's something that really helps me to fall into that vulnerability is humility. That's what does it for me. I know what you're going to say, but Keith, you'd understand it is so intimidating to go to that place. Yes, I do know. I know it very, very well. That's why I'm able to sit here and present this audio program, because I've done a lot of intensive and extensive internal work, and I know that place very well. But you have to be willing, my friend, to go through hell to get to heaven.
That was a ride for me, even though I am the author of this beautiful work. I am still a student. We are counting down 40, 39, 38, 37, and so forth, and so forth. Here comes the bells and whistles, y'all. Happy New Year. I, Sriyanava, which is not disconnected from me or the we love you beyond what you can imagine. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, I love you. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year to you, my cosmic brother and sister. I love you beyond comparison. I love you. I think we are on the same page. Did that move you? It moved me. It showed me my past, my present moment, and my infinite possible future. The beautiful music, the art of these people, creating this beautiful idea through this song. Fireworks meaning light. That which sparks and ignites into the effulgence of 10,000 suns. And I know you understand exactly what I'm sharing with you. So what I am going to do now is to take this balloon from my birthday, November 30th, which has written on it, Om Shrim Lakshmi, Om Shrim Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. I, as Brian earlier, am going to release back into spirit my intentions of not who I am, not what I deserve, that which is the truth. This is my year. This is your year. Humanity is going to graduate. It's happened already. On some parallel, some dimension, humanity is exalted. And by the choices we are making, we're becoming that very exaltation ourselves. I'm going to release my intentions and I'll be right back. I love you. So I was outside and I released this foil balloon from my quote birthday. Today is your birthday. For new, being reborn in Christ, reborn in the Buddha compassion, being reborn in the lotus flower, being reborn in the phoenix rising. And I watched this balloon as I let it go. In fact, it slipped out of my fingers. I said, Om Shreem, Om Shreem, Om Shreem Lakshmi, Om Sri Sadaram Gurudeva Datta. And I wanted to do this 3 times, and it just slipped from my fingers. And it so poetically missed all the trees around me. And sailed toward infinity of my divine intent. I'm going to play a Lavender Soul song. I'll be right back. I'll be here for another 30 minutes for sure. I'm going to go inside. Spirit, I'm not disconnected from spirit, nor are you. I separate the two to show an act of humility. Because in truth, all we all want is love. However that shows up for you. But the ultimate capacity for love is when we truly find our divine lover, your father, your brother, your sister, and your mother. Lavender Soul. Happy New Year, my dear beautiful friends.
I will be with you always until the end of time. You will never be alone. I am.
feel you there beside me. All of my lives, all through my days, I've seen places far away. Wondering just when, time and again, I have come to know you. Wondering just when, time and again, you are there beside me. When I create, when I feel love, whenever I feel you with me, I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. Help me know that.
It is my will that you know me. I will not hide my love from you. You create your reality, and every moment by your own perceptions, your judgments, actions. Peace is a state of mind. Bliss is a state of heart. Heaven is a state of being.
Deep in my heart, I know you're there. I can always feel you guiding my life to see the light that will lead me to the truth. When I create, when I feel love, whenever I feel you with me, I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. For you are my mother,
My soul.
my divine lover. I celebrate times of my life. There is only you and me. Help me live.
So earlier I said I was going to read some new work from my future book, Seeking Worldwide Distribution. I want to do that now. This is called Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. And then we're going to talk about prophetic events. Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. The book that is going to come out that we're publishing soon with 6 books is called Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, as to why my 12-week course is called Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Let me find it. Give me one moment. Welcome everyone. Happy New Year to you. I love you. I'm going to be here for another maybe 30 minutes. Let me find it. Boy, I so prepared a healthy script. And life goes where it goes. That's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it? Wow. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Did I accidentally do a double delete? I'm going to find this. It's important. One moment. So my face is going to get white. I'm now scrolling. Scrolling. Keep them doggies rolling, rawhide. Here we go. Shortly. This is from my future new release. Playing in the Garden of Soul. I think I have that. Let me get rid of this white. Hang on. Thank you for your patience. One moment. Again, thank you for your patience. Tonight's presentation is called The Year of the Pig. Initiation, Integration, Graduation. This is from my future release. And again, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the all of my heart. Because of you, I've found a greater aspect of myself. And my love for you because of is undying. And I want to share a very short chapter with you about where I am in my expansion because of the law of one, where we are in our expansion. Playing in the Garden of Soul. We have all heard the saying, time flies when we are having fun. Well, my friend, I can attest to that. Where has it all gone? From my experience, it hasn't passed me by as we normally perceive time to do. It just seems to have vanished. Today, I'm sharing this with you, and I'm grateful to find myself deeper into an infinite space where time is simple, a play of divine consciousness. From the time I started writing my bestseller, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth in 1996, and completing it in 2009, I have learned so much from the wisdom that moved through my vessel. For the years that followed, I continued to live in the brilliant light of those teachings, which I have no doubt readied me for the next plateau. I consider that phase of my life as the initiation into spirit. From the year 2000 to 2014, I was working on a book about my pilgrimage to India to see a divine incarnation by the name of Sathya Sai Baba. The book titled For the Love of God, A Spiritual Journey, was the beginning of this phoenix, thank you, Brian, for the beginning of the phoenix rising within me. Going back to 1996 and coming forward into 2014, I have experienced so much expansion that I almost cannot contain myself. I consider that phase of my life as the integration of spirit. This is where all of you come in, and I'm so fucking grateful. Wow. About 2 years ago, I was watching over a friend's house while they were in England. One day I was sitting on the sofa in silence, thinking of what I could do to alleviate my boredom, when all of a sudden a voice speaks to me from within saying, Keith, grab your phone, go sit by the fireplace, turn on the video recorder, and go at it. I immediately got up, went over there, sat down on a pillow, and got right to it. Knowing what was about to unfold, not knowing what was about to unfold. The first thing that welled up in my heart was to talk about how you can have it all. After looking into my cell phone and taking some deep, intentful breaths to connect, I could feel the voice begin to fill me inside, as it did when I was writing the Divine Principle. For the next 2 years, that presence began to consume me. Literally. Since then, I have been doing a live video series on social media called Center of Light Bursts. These presentations are off the cuff, allowing the voice of my heart to speak. As people gather in the virtual room, they experience this divine love pouring through my being into theirs. It is such an amazing and beautiful thing to witness. Watching them, every gathering, burn with the divine fire for radical transformation. After reviewing the playback of my first 8 videos, I came to realize that something I was unaware of had begun to occur. I was the one becoming more and more radically transformed. A new book was already being placed within me. So I contacted my marketing director, Renee Brown. I hired her to transcribe all that came to me through these sessions, and we began editing the message into a book format. Lo and behold, I am currently working on my next literary love. Guess what? It is titled Radical Transformation, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. This powerful, soon-to-be-released wisdom has led me by the hand and heart to the garden door entering the kingdom. Being in this heart space daily is what has caused time not to flee from me, but utterly disappear. As I reflect upon the last 2 years, I realize this time the voice has not only come to speak to and through me, but has come to be with me as me. Yes, the dove of peace. Yes, the dove of peace has descended into my heart at last. And along with that perching has come the grace of an ever-expanding awareness. This phase of my life I consider to be the graduation with spirit. Through this declaration, my dedication and vow to you is this. I am my you can have it all. I now wear the golden ring my father gave me upon my finger, symbolic of my marriage with the divine. I cultivate this relationship at every possible moment through my commitment to live a life of service to all. But here's the thing. My olive branch gesture is that you reach for and join me in the sacred union yourself. And when you sincerely intend to do just that, the dove of peace and everlasting light, the dove of peace and everlasting light will wipe the cobwebs of time from your mind and the darkness of fear from your vision. You too will find yourself crossing the bridge to the soul and reside in the garden at last. Now I bring forth soon a collection as a lamplight for your initiation, integration, and graduation. This is your homecoming.
I lift you up to your most high. Cherish the time when you walk by. I see you in my life for all time. I've touched your face 1,000 lifetimes. I know the way you talk in rhymes. The breath you take is part of mine. As you float before my eyes, you touch my hand, it makes me cry. Touch my hand, just to know you're there. Just to know you're there. So here we go again, lifeless ones with a friend. Another chance to let love in. And in another life, our eyes will meet one more time. I see you in my life for all time.
I love you. Thank you for being here. Have a few more minutes. I would like to read you what's coming up and my hopeful, which I know is going to happen. I absolutely know without a doubt. Worldwide distribution. The closing chapter, combining the divine principle with For the Love of God, pulling it apart, making it chronological, into this beautiful new book, my life's work, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. The first excerpt I read you a minute ago was Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. This is called Playing in the Garden of Soul. And then I'm going to go into vessel mode. Playing in the Garden of Soul. This is the end of the new book, which is going to change my life financially. Thank you, God. I am always of service. I have been for many lifetimes. That is my reward for being a blissful human being. And I wish that upon you. Playing in the Garden of Soul. In all the years, never would I have imagined going from a little tyke full of fire as a young boy to a grown man whose phoenix is rising out of that blaze. The grace bestowed on me throughout this journey has me humbled to a depth that no words can convey. Yet I am moved to find a way to speak my heart. What have I learned? Lots. Was it all useful? Some. What was most useful? Letting it all go. Surrendering it all. There is a subtle yet amazing power to be experienced moving in the cosmic life stream when you just let it all go. In the choice to empty yourself, as Brian said so beautifully earlier, oh my God. In the choice to empty yourself and become open, as I have demonstrated throughout this volume of teachings, you too will be placed atop a graceful raft and float in the divine current forever. I now invite you to play with your divine power and open the garden gate to the soul. Within the garden, you may come upon many disrupting enticements. But worry not, my friend. Take my hand, feel my open heart, and I will walk you beyond the illusions of this world. Heed my words, for your spiritual liberation is my passion. Illusory weeds will not bear fruit in the garden of soul. Are you ready to round up those weeds, water the plant that is you, and never look back? Fuck. That was for me. Illusory weeds will not bear fruit in the garden of soul. Are you ready to round up those weeds, water the plant that is you, and never look back? Always looking forward, you will continue to lift yourself above the noise that entices you into a fight. You will no longer be bickering with your loved ones. No more arguing with politics. counterpointing racism, feeling the fear of terrorism, warring with the drama of the world. In essence, you will no longer be fighting yourself. For my future new book, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. As I write this final chapter in my letting go of what to write, ironically, it wells up inside of me. Fuck. The emotions of bliss, joy, and gratitude I feel in this moment contain vast amounts of encrypted information and is endless. It is this wellspring from which I draw an outpouring of my heart. As a gesture and love offering that you, too, may reach your next plateau. The seemingly unreachable is reachable, and it requires nothing from you except watering the plant that is you. That's the depth of letting go that I'm bringing to light here. Until recently, I have lived my life always trying to figure out things. Finally, it dawned upon me, Keith, in all this trying to figure your way, find your way, have you found your way? Why not toss it in the trash and be done? For it is all nonsense and will not grant you access into the magical space that lies just beyond logical thought. Realizing this, a portal to the divine has opened and has been ever expanding. The bliss, glory, and peace that is happening in my life right now is immeasurable. As I said a bit ago, everything I am writing down seems somewhat elusive. It's almost as if anything I jot down dulls the light I intend to express. It is from this space, the divine comedy, it is from this space, the divine comedy, and that poetic light shines and expresses itself into being. I am that being. You are that being. We are that being. That is the gig. Being. So I guess the question becomes, how do I let it all go to the depth that you have, Keith? I can't tell you with mere words how to do that. Instead, let me inspire you to find your own way as you witness who I am, how I feel, what I experience, and what it is doing not only to me, but to others with who I come in contact. Divine sparks are firing up all around me. It is spiritual law. As I live in the light of truth, truth's light illuminates everything, everywhere I look. Fuck. I'm being vulnerable right now. This holy fire once ignited within you, will be the end of all your misery and suffering. Please, my dear friend, take this motivational match, strike it, and burn. Burn with the effulgence of 10,000 suns. Engulf those around you as I do, and illuminate your world, universe, and divinity. What I want to leave you with is this. Within the center of your chest is a stargate, an opening to the golden door, entering the kingdom of forever. Once you cross the bridge to the soul, beautiful things will begin to happen through, to, and for you. You will then become aware of your connection to the Christ, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, your loved ones, and everything else of which you were never separated. Fuck. Remember, expanding into your birthright is not an arduous task. It is simple. Be easy on yourself. So much so that you're willing to lose everything to gain your true self. In all love, as your cosmic brother, meet me in that light. And in the garden of soul, as divine children, we will play forever. He steps aside as he composes himself to the best of his ability. Yanava steps forward. Keith has been talking about prediction. It's nonsense. There are no predictions. All there are is your present convictions. He had this all spelled out to tell you from the divine principle, which is true. It doesn't mean it is truth. Of the likeliness of that which may be coming down the pipe for you as humanity is concerned, because if you are not paying attention now to the teaching such as this, your comfortable lives will take a backseat to all that is happening around you. That would be a true statement from soul to you, because I love you. God bless you. Happy 2019. It's your show. There is no go without you saying so. Sis and bro, get out of the nonsense. Fall into the flow. This is transpiring. Here is your window. There are no innuendos that set you aside off-putting. But what you could be doing is follow the lead of this vessel and many of the like that have been, are now, and will forever be coming down the pike. Basically, simply said, don't listen to the normal. Don't listen to the formal, to the tradition. Here's a new rendition. As has been said to you many times through this vessel, the time is not coming any longer. This was vesseled in 1996. The time is here that you will have to meditate upon the enigma of God and what you think to be divine. Dear one, are you keeping up or are you falling behind? And thine will be true for you if you allow it. Hurricanes, even more so. Earthquakes, as the things stand right now. This is not doom and gloom prophecy from this prophet. But when you can all profit from this, prophet and prophecy is when you begin to see what is being offered to you. Do you want the prophet to be right in doom and gloom? No, you don't. So glean what is being offered. Earthquakes are afoot for you. What will you do? Spirit loves you. 2019, Happy New Year, Happy New You. I will give you the solution to what can face you as a natural calamity. Earthquakes. What you can do to skirt it, and it will not hurt whatsoever if you follow this lead, and I plead you to do so for your own benefit, is to begin to use the mantra Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Om Sri Sai Ram Guru Deva Datta. Swamji Viswayoga is speaking to you now. Keith's divine present Lord, as he would tell you it is. If you want to know the phonetic spelling of this and how to enunciate it, ask Keith tomorrow. He'd be glad to share it with you. Say it at least 108 times a day to keep yourself out of play of that which you will wish you have done. If your life becomes spun when you have done nothing at all. Again, this is not doom and gloom prophecy. Spirit, Swamji, is empowering you with a divine tool to be the ruler of your experience. You are now sovereign. It is all of your own doing. 2019, glean everything you can. And as Peter Pan, float around blessing everyone with your little magic wand of fairy dust and light. Hold everyone that you see, everyone that you know in this preciousness of light. You pull to an intersection, is someone holding a sign saying, I will work for food. If you cannot financially bless them in a simple illumination of light. With all of your might, help them out of their plight into all delight. You will find yourself imbued with power and might. Oh my God, live in this delight. As soul, as Swamji, as Yeshua. This is the it of it all, man. Chick. This is it. Your only task, my dear loved one, is to get out of what you know as human and fall into illumin. And from this perspective and placement of absolute awareness, you will fulfill the human prophecy because you will infiltrate your entire experience with everything that you are as the light. You will imbue yourself with light when you draw back and come back to your real self as a human being, God, being of earth, heaven on earth. This is what you are, my divine cosmic child. This is what you are worth. Happy New Year, my dear. Never again choose fear. Simply get out of nonsense and be clear. Soul and Keith Anthony Blanchard bid you a beautiful evening. Let go. Let go, dear one. There is no greater lesson in spirituality than letting go. Letting go of what you're thinking that you know nothing. No one knows anything. How can you? Infinity is ever changing. The universe is ever changing and rearranging you, hoping that you get out of what you think you know. As above, so below, on forever it will go. Follow to the conscious flow of forever. And in that garden, Yanava, heart, intellect, backbone, as well as Keith Anthony Blanchard. We will all meet in the garden of soul, and we will play as divine children forever. Forever is beyond your imagination. That's how sacred and powerful what is being shared with you in this moment. That is how important you are, that you cannot even in this moment fathom the glory and the deliciousness of what you call you. Happy New Year, 2019. Why not leave on an upbeat? My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. 12-week course. You have to sign up now. Keith, I'm interested. Leave it in this room. Send me a personal Facebook inbox message. Keith, I want into your course. Inner course. I don't mean intercourse, but I do. It's an inner course. We have to amalgamate sensually, sexually, become with our divine parent. And when you do, let me leave you with my media jargon to make a little cliche point. And when you do, everyone that you meet, you will love, because you don't know that until they walk by. I love you. 2019, y'all. There is nothing else more important in this entire universe than you. If someone distracts you from that beautiful idea, it's the opposite of you trying to point you even more so in the direction of how beautiful and important you are. And you may not know that until God walks by. And when you do, you will understand. I believe in you. And because I am you, I believe in myself. I will meet you in the Garden of Soul. And there we will play as divine children. Forever.
Hanging on the wall of doubt till you walk by. Something happened inside my heart when you walk by. You know I never knew love. What did I dream of until you walk by? Until you walk by. Till you walk by.
Thank you, everyone. I love you. Peace, love, and light. Good night, and Happy New Year. I love you.